Hey, what's up YouTube? In this video, I'll be showing you how to make a play area slash playground slash jungle gym slash really fun thing to put in your world. This build has a water slide with a ball pit, a sand pit, hidden tunnels that take us to jump pads that work some of the time. Ha, it worked that time. We have little fun parkour courses which I can complete some of the time, and much more. I built and designed this for a soft play center that I have as a city build, but I actually like the design of this so much, and I think that it could be applied to a park, or maybe even to a back garden, or maybe there's somewhere else you can even think about. Maybe a big giant play area for a fast food restaurant. Maybe like the good old style McDonald's. I don't know, but I thought that it was too fun to not also have this separately and apply it to somewhere else that you might want it. So without any further ado, let's get this started. This is the amount of space required to make the build. Feel free to make the grid if you think it will help you out. Here are all of the materials that we will need to make the build. Please make sure that you have access to all those materials that you can see. Step 1. Come all the way over to the front left hand corner of your grid, if you've made it, and count backwards 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Begin by placing a row of 5 yellow concrete extending up from the ground. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then extend backwards by 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and join back down to the ground. And then back by 4 again, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then back down to the ground. Back down by 4 again, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then back down to the ground. So we should have these 3 evenly spaced archways, to which we then want to extend up each one of the vertical parts of this by 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3. On the front and the back, we want to take where the horizontal row intersects with the vertical row, and we want to extend this backwards by 1, 2, and then simply down and back, down and back, down and back, down and back. Perfect. So what we also want to do is the exact same-ish sort of thing on the front. So we'll take this block, 1, 2, and then down, forwards, down, forwards, down, forwards, down, and then forwards by 3. 1, 2, 3. I know, seems a little bit random. It's not that random though, you'll see later on. So what I'm then going to suggest is that now we have this very strange shape that we have before us. We want to copy this shape, and we want to do it 3 rows away from this shape. So leave a gap of 1, 2, 3, and then quite literally copy exactly what you have done onto this side. You can think of this entire play area as kind of like a little grid system, really. It's, for the most part, made up of basically like 5 by 5 little grids, with some exceptions in some certain places. But for the most part, you can kind of see how these areas come together. You can see that we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we also have the same this way. The way that the actual play set is kind of like set out is kind of a grid, so that it just makes it easier to kind of like figure out how to get around it. You'll see what I mean in a second. I guess I'm being a little bit vague, but we need to add stairs to this. As you might know, or might not know, this is a staircase. So we want to take the bottoms of the yellow concrete blocks, and we simply just want to join them together using blue concrete. We want to fill the top in as well, and then proceed to do the exact same thing on the opposite side here. Just like this. And I would suggest just leaving one little thin layer of blue concrete, as underneath this we are going to make a Mario inspired tunnel. So just like this, and that is looking, went headfirst into that, and that is looking not too bad. The next thing that I'd like to do is one of the houses. So there are two little houses on the front of the build. The first of which we're going to begin by taking, we have a long row of yellow down here at the bottom. And then there's one diagonal, but more importantly, there is the second one. On top of this, we simply want to place ourselves a yellow concrete. We then want to extend it to the... We want to place an additional yellow concrete on top of it. Extend it back so that we make a solid shape, and then extend this block, the corner block, to the right by 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then up by 3. 1, 2, 3. And then extend across and down. We want to have a little bit of blue glass right in the middle. Yellow concrete either side. We want to join the front corner down to the ground like this. We want to be able to fit a 3 by 3 square of blue concrete into the center of this, with yellow concrete around the outside. Fill these sides in, all of them, using yellow concrete like this. And then, eventually, we'll have this sort of box, which is going to be, for all intents and purposes, a house. So we'll place yellow concrete on the middle areas of the front and back. And we want to place then red concrete on the outsides, creeping up to reach a triangular shape at the top. Extend it down, across, do the same thing on the back, eventually extend it front and back, and then we'll have a little roof. We'll need to make entrances into this, of course, so you can do this in the middle or to the side or wherever, but we need one at the back and then at the side here. So, however you really want to do that, doesn't quite matter, but we do need those because we need to be able to get into this via, well, both ways, because again, this all connects together. That's the whole point of, like I said, this little grid system that we're creating. And speaking of the grid system, what you can do from here is you can add 3 rows of blue concrete, 1, 2, and 3, and then a row of yellow concrete, although we are going to have to knock out some of the yellow concrete. But this yellow concrete can extend across the back here, and then it can join up and down. And the upper parts want to have rows of 3 yellow, and then these lower parts here also want to join down. So essentially we want to, once again, I mean, I keep referencing this. If you think of this as kind of like a grid of sorts, then you'll be able to see how it kind of like comes together. And in addition to this, we do have to knock out like these 2 rows of yellow here across the back. The way that there's 2 ways, but one way that you get into this little house here is that you fight your way through a little tiny mock obstacle course, and that allows you to get in. Or you can approach it from the opposite side, which will be over here somewhere, and there'll be a jump pad involved. You'll discover that later. Okay, so now that we've kind of done that, I want to work on the opposite house. So the opposite house, very, very easy. We're going to basically create a tunnel around this entrance that we have on the right side here. The tunnel is 7 rows long. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's made out of blue concrete as well. And the tunnel is minimal in shape, meaning it's just enough room for us to get through. And we just need to place literally 2 rows surrounded by blue concrete on every single side. The middle row of the tunnel, which will be here, it'll have 3 on either side. I want to have a little bit of glass. So on the front and the back, just so that you can see out of it. You could add glass in more ways, but I just quite like this. On the end of the tunnel, if you place a yellow concrete at the bottom and at the top here, like, as you might be able to tell, like, the roof is in the way of the top of the tunnel. So we've got a red concrete, and then we will have actually, will it be another red concrete as well? It will be another red concrete, but anyway, the idea being is we want to make the house from this. So like, we'll just work from the yellow at the bottom, extend it outwards by 2, as you can see over there. And then it will want to get extended up by 3, 1, 2, 3, and we'll do it with all of these blocks. Perfect. We can create a base at the bottom here by placing a row of 3 by 3 blue concrete, yellow concrete all the way around like this, blue glass in the middle, just 2 blue glass, and then we can create the rest of this using yellow concrete. Up here, on the side here. At the back, once again, we kind of want to leave a space as we are, and by the way, anywhere that doesn't look right with yellow concrete, just get rid of it. Just turn it into blue. And like I said, we want to be able to get out of the back here, so we're going to leave that open. The roof, red concrete on both sides, kind of like creeping up to an apex. Right up here, perfect. Then down here. Then here. Perfect. And then we can just make the roof. We can make the framework at the back of this house, because you know what? I'm almost tired of hearing myself mention it. You can get around the entire play area, so we need to have something that looks similar to that, but I do believe that it's not quite as long. So now that, oh, we've got to extend the legs down. And also, we've got to make one of the entrances to the sand pit. That's right, there's a sand pit. So we want to extend the corners of this down, each by 1, like this. And then, perfect. So this is how it looks from the front. You can see it shaping up rather nicely. We then take the bottom corners of each of the houses, and then we place... I've made my plans too small. Then we place a row of 2 yellow concrete, 1, 2. Just extend it out from both sides at the same time, 1, 2. And then we want to go down, forwards 1, down, forwards 1. And then we want to connect diagonally into the ground using yellow concrete, like this. Also, I guess, I don't know why that's diagonal, because we can just extend it down like that. There might be a reason for that we may discover later. There might also not be a reason. There's going to be a door right in the middle here, so we're just going to create a little framework for a door here, just using yellow concrete. They're going to be 3 rows high, just like this. The rest of this will kind of be sectioned off using chains. You can walk through chains, but it just looks the part, so... We want to make the, again, framework at the back here. And I do just want to make sure that we do it correctly. That would be pretty good if we did. Maybe, actually, okay, so maybe we don't work on this part yet. Maybe we come all the way across to the actual back of the build. So, to make the framework that's going to come across the back here, we want to extend this yellow concrete left by 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You may notice that it will be able to connect to the front here. It will connect to the house in the same way that it does over there. We also want to extend up and down the 8th block, just like this, exactly as we have here. We want to connect this corner using yellow concrete. We want to extend this up and down, very similar. Leaving the middle section alone, I'm starting to think that we could have done what I wanted to do. We also want to create the same divide here as we have over there. And I think that we're actually okay in creating a grid. I think that it's actually fine. I don't think it'll get in the way. And if it does, we'll just have to delete it. But essentially, we're just extending the grid across here, leaving just this little corner section taken out. We're going to have blue concrete underneath the long part of the back. So blue concrete underneath the long part at the back. It wants to drop 1 row down to create a little faux parkour course. So in the middle of this, we're just going to have like, I mean, we could even like extend it up like that if we wanted to. So it's just like a little tiny parkour course. If not, you'll just fall into some water and then everything will be fine. You can just swim across, but I just like it. Now that we've done that, we want to take this yellow concrete here and we want to extend it left by 1, 2, 3, 4, up and down like this, but we want to extend the left side here a little bit further up. So, well, actually, first we'll extend it left by 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Drop that down to the ground. That should be right about here. Then we can extend the corners up 1, 2, 3, just as we've been doing in like 1, 2, 3. We can take where this yellow concrete intersects and extend forwards 1, 2, 3, 4. And then up by 3, 1, 2, 3, and then drop down to the ground, like this. And then we can even extend the yellow concrete across if you like, and we can kind of just join it together, like if it'll help you to kind of visualize how this is going. And then this corner, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so we're going to fill the top of this in using blue concrete, like this. We also have to join this area to this area. Now, we should be able to do this with just 3 rows of blue concrete, extending upwards diagonally like so. Should connect rather nicely. Knock this out, place it in, perfect. So you can see, I mean, I don't know, it just looks kind of perfect. You can see now how you would get across the back and how this area is separate from this area. So we can fill this in using blue concrete, as a matter of fact. So here and hereabouts. Perfect. And this will be chained off. So we'll have chains like here to stop you being able to like get across particular sections. And I think that we'll also raise the chains up each by 1 as they ascend closer to the top, just so that you can't really, well, I mean, if you're motivated, you can, obviously, because you can move through the chains and stuff, but again, it's not like a literal physical barrier. And chains will go all around the area, by the way, but for now, we're just going to kind of like leave it off like this. And then the next thing that we're going to do, so next, we're going to make the framework for the water slide. Grab your yellow concrete and come all the way up to the area that we've just been working on. We don't want to take this block here, like this corner block, but the one above it. Extend it outwards by 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we want to extend, I mean, I don't know if it makes a difference to like go down and then forwards, or whether we should just do a diagonal, but we'll go down and forwards. Extend down by 3. 1, 2, 3. Connect back to the frame of the slide, so back here. You'll see that it's parallel to the road that we have over there. Then extend this corner block forwards, and then down 2, 1, 2. And then extend forwards and down. Forwards by 2, 1, 2. Hit the ground, and then extend all the way to the boundary. Extend across by 3, 1, 2, 3. Dig into the ground, left by 1, 2, 3. And then, actually 4. And then dig backwards by 3, 1, 2, 3. Fill this little area in here using slabs, like this. And then place a row of yellow concrete behind the slabs that kind of like connects everything together. Okay. So, you see this area that we've made using yellow concrete here on the right? Well, we actually want to do a semi-similar thing using red and green. So, inside of the frame of the slide here, I want you to place red concrete, gap, lime, And then, we are going to use the lime and the red concretes to follow the shape along that we have created over here on the right. So, we don't have to connect back to the slide, like back to the actual frame of the slide, but the kind of like snaky shape that we've kind of made here, extending all the way down, we don't want to extend forwards really. Although we could, I guess, maybe a little bit, maybe like 1, 2, 3, like this. So this is kind of like where these slide land, and then we can kind of just reverse ourselves for this middle row, and then we'll come back down again with the red. And this is kind of the slide. Like, this isn't meant to be a water slide, although it is. What it actually is a slide, just a slide. However, you can't really make just a slide in Minecraft, or at least if you can, I don't know how. So we have to settle for water, which is, you know, the next best thing, and as some might say, the better thing. But you can see that's kind of like the framework for the slide. And then behind this, we're going to use blue concrete, and we're basically just going to fill the gaps in behind the slide. So like here, and yeah, we'll just do it so that it just fits to form. So it'll just, funnily enough, slide in directly behind all of these empty rows here, and it'll eventually connect up to the frame, and that's what we want to have. And then we'll probably join all of these rows together, like left and right, just to make kind of like a solid block. We just want to make it look a little bit clean and tidy, really, is what we're going to be going for. I actually can't believe how much of this we've made, ladies and gentlemen, already. Like, it's quite a big structure. We do have quite a few little details to add, but we're going along nicely. So, yeah, I guess it's up to you whether you want to connect the blue concrete together. I think it looks better. It just looks a little bit cleaner. Like, I mean, you'll be able to compare, like, that left side. It just looks a little bit better than leaving the, I guess, grooves in, however you might call it. Might even add an extra row just there on the right side as well, because it kind of just fits. So like here, I think it's just better that it kind of like takes up this entire space. There we go, perfect. And then that looks pretty good. So what can we do next? What is there to do next? Well, we have to make the area. We have to make kind of like the frame of the sand pit, although it's kind of already made. So I want you to imagine that the middle area of our play area, our playground, however you want to call it, the middle of this is leading all the way to here, like, you know, where this drops down. The middle of this is a sand pit. You can walk around the sand pit underneath the entire play set. So here, 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 and here. There we go. So this is kind of like the middle of the area. This is the sand pit, and this is where we're going to start adding. So we want to have a doorway on the opposite end here as well, and we're just going to have a doorway using the yellow concrete, exact opposite of what we have over there. So this is where we are going to start adding chains everywhere. Because it's alright having all of these frames, but the chains are what kind of like make it. It's kind of like what truly divides it up. Like, it just kind of puts that nice finishing touch. If you are not a fan of the chains, you could try iron bars. Doesn't look as good in my opinion, because you just can't quite see through them. They're not transparent enough. Whereas the chains, I mean, transparent might be the wrong word. They're at the very least opaque's also not the right word either, but, you know, the idea is the same in that you can kind of see through them more. They're a bit more revealing than iron bars would be. You could try glass as well, but glass seems like a weird choice, but you certainly could do it. The reason that I'm using these chains is because it looks like, to me, you know that like black netting that you get in these places? That's what it's sort of like. That's as close as I think that we can get at the moment with the current material set. So I think it just looks better. Maybe it looks like I don't know. Maybe you think it looks a little bit medievally. Maybe it almost makes it look like a Roman Colosseum or something, like in the middle of here. But I think it just looks pretty good. But anyway, yeah, feel free to try any of those materials. Maybe even webbing. Cobweb is another idea. I don't think it's a good one, but it is an idea. You know, don't worry yourself. You know, I have horrible ideas all the time. But Yeah, cobweb. What I wouldn't like about cobweb is, number one, you can actually walk through it, so you'll get stuck in it. It'll be quite aggravating if you can't keep it like hitting the sides of it. It's very, very, very white as well. Like, it's insanely white, and it just takes up like a lot of visual space. So probably not one of my better ideas. I think if you were going to go with anything, you'd go with chains, or you'd go... I mean, you could also go with nothing, but I guess it's either chains, iron bars, or glass. Glass is probably my second favourite choice. It'd look a little bit... Maybe it'd look a little bit weird with glass, but I think that that'd probably be the way to go. We've got to destroy underneath here as well to place some chains. There's also going to be some chains going across the top of this too. So we'll be placing the chains up as high as here. And wherever the chains are kind of like exposed on the top, there's only one instance where we're not going to do it. We'll be adding some carpet later just to kind of like put a top on it. And I'm going to place chains across horizontally here as well. I do believe that there'll be one above the doorway too. Will there be chains above the door? I find them very difficult to place, by the way, if you can't already tell. So it'd be easier if we have that. There we go. And then we'll have them coming across here. And by the way, there's so much more of these to place. It's mainly now, it's going to be like around the actual outside of the build. And it's going to be at the top. So... about here. Yeah, so just all here. We're not going to place them in the top of what I will call the arena. So, the sand pit. We don't need to place them across the top there. We can kind of like leave them off. But we do have to place them around the top. Not on the top, but around the top. This is by the way, this is the most tedious part of the build. So I reckon that I'm done with the chains for just a little bit, and I think I'm going to swap over to placing some sand. Not my favourite, but you know, maybe it's a bit more fun than the chains. So we're going to have to dig, I believe, 2 rows down in the Colosseum. So we're going to dig 2 rows down, and that will mean that we've also got to replace some... well, not even replace, actually. We've got to... I guess it is replacing the grass, but we've got to place some yellow concrete. Doing a horrible job of digging this area out. Really doing a terrible job, but yeah, we're going to dig all of this out. 2 rows down, and you'll be able to see everywhere that we need to place the yellow concrete. We'll get that done before we dig the other row. Then we'll just chuck the sand in. An alternate to not having to replace those yellow concretes. I guess you could just pile up sand next to them. It might look a little bit weird though, you know, when you're specifically placing sand in those parts, like, evenly. A little bit lazy, but... the idea of the sand pit is, I'm imagining like a little mock beach. So, we'll have some shovels, we'll have some sandcastles, we'll have Steve buried up to his neck. You know, the regular sort of things that you see when you go to the beach. And that'll pretty much be it. If you want to add anything else, I mean, you could add, say, yeah, I don't know, like balls and stuff. I was going to say, maybe you could add a frisbee, but there's not really a... Sunflowers kind of look like frisbees or donuts in item frames. Slabs also kind of look like frisbees. I mean, you know, gotta use your imagination. Never seen a square frisbee, but you guys get the idea. Yeah, there we go. Looking pretty good. So the next step would be to come up here. And let's add all of the chains to the upper portion of this. So where are the chains going? Again, anywhere that would make sense. So like on the outsides here, it would make sense to have chains. On the inside portions there, it would make sense to have chains. Around the top of the water slide, I mean, pretty much everywhere in between the rows of yellow will have them. At least on the upper level. Because once again, it just adds that little extra level of detail that I just really like. It just looks good. Very tedious though. Have I already said that? Is it getting tedious, me saying that it's tedious? Probably. We have to get the yellow carpet out too, which is also kind of tricky to place. Although I do think that it's easier to place chains with a controller than to place them with a mouse and keyboard for some reason. There's a couple of things that are a little bit easier, like Actually, it's easier to play. I don't know why. It's easier to place glass with a mouse and keyboard. Maybe it is easier to place chains. Maybe I'm imagining that. You know, the only thing that's actually better. So we've done that. Oh, we've just got to raise all these up. The only thing that I actually prefer the controller for is mass filling in, which I guess is almost redundant on PC or Java rather. On Java. Because you could just, I suppose, just use fill commands. I suppose you could on Bedrock as well. I mean, I guess the entire argument is against PC versus console, I suppose. And unfortunately, as somebody that does build on console, I do have to say that PC is probably better. Although, as I said, like if you're not going to use commands and stuff, like if you were playing in survival, like filling in big areas, like there's nothing that beats just the controller for that, in my opinion. Maybe you've got a different one, but just like being able to just hold the triggers and sweep like left and right, or up and down as the case used to be. You guys remember the console specific versions of Minecraft? Xbox 360, or rather Minecraft 360 I suppose, but you guys get the idea on Xbox 360. What a dream version. You didn't have to save your game as you left. You could set up an autosave feature if you wanted to. You built in the same speeds up, down, left and right. The game looked smoother. And, well, I mean, I guess it's I don't know whether I'm used to it or whether it is just, like, different. I mean, the sky and everything, like, it just used to have a better look to it. I do kind of miss that version. It was my favourite version of Minecraft, like Minecraft, like, just Xbox edition, I suppose. I don't think that there was any difference between Xbox and, like, or 360 and, like, the One version. I think that they were the same. I might be wrong. Or maybe, or did they never have, like, an Xbox One version of Minecraft, and did they just transition to Bedrock? I actually can't remember, it's been that long. But, anyway, if you do remember, like, the old specific console versions, I guess PlayStation would be the same way. PlayStation would be the same thing, probably. I haven't really built too much on PlayStation, but I did a little bit. It'd be the same sort of way. Let me know if you remember those versions. I do miss them. The simpler times. Simpler times. There was no marketplace either. Not that there's anything wrong with the marketplace. I mean, skin packs and stuff are fun, and having the cross-platforming and all of that. I mean, yeah, you know, it is good, but I guess it's just nostalgia, which is fun. Nostalgia's definitely fun. It makes me wonder, like, you know, obviously because I'm, you know, a bit older probably than most of you guys watching this. It makes me wonder what you guys will get nostalgic about. Like, the PlayStation 1 for me, or like the Game Boy Color, and, you know, like Game Boy Advance and stuff. Anyway, I guess it'll be like PS3 and PS4. Imagine when there's like a PS60. So we've made all of the chains for the upper part, which is what I'm looking at now. Now it's kind of like, what I'm going to do is, there are two tunnels that we have to add. One on the back right side of the build and one on the back left side of the build. They're kind of like Mario inspired tunnels. They're made using green concrete or lime concrete. And their only function is primarily pretty much just to take you from, like, underneath the water slide portion is pretty much just to kind of cut off the jump pad area from the rest of the play area, like this. Here and here. And I guess that we can add just an extra row of yellow concrete. It just looks right. So it's to cut this area off, to which we can then it makes sense to have chains. I mean, we could even, I guess we'll just have chains on the entire outside here. And once again, I'm well aware that you can, you know, you can just walk through them, which is why it might almost seem silly. But it's a visual thing. It's a visual thing. I just like it. You can, they don't do anything. It is completely visual, but I much prefer it. It's a mental barrier, if anything. It's like, oh, there's chains, you can't walk through them. Oh wait. And then we want to cut this section off. It's funny because I forgot that you couldn't walk through them, and the other day It might have even been yesterday, whatever. I was designing a courthouse, and it had and this particular courthouse has a holding cell. And I was like, oh, chains. Because I was looking at the iron bars, and I was like, oh, these kind of look awful. Like, I just don't like the look of them very much. I don't know if it's how they go together, the specific color of them or what, but I was looking at them, and then I was like, I know what I'll use. Chains. That will keep the prisoners in there. They do not. They do not keep the. They don't do anything, but other than look good. I mean, you've got to admit. I mean, if you're gonna make a jail cell, I mean, they look pretty cool. We don't have to add chains around here because you can't really you can't jump 2 rows. So I do want to have chains across the back here though. So across the back here. And pretty much leading. Once again, I guess I'll make it like the Mario tunnel. There's a Mario tunnel here as well, and it's just to be. It's just a little bit more inspired than just an empty space. Like, it doesn't really take you anywhere exactly. I mean, not anywhere that you couldn't go without the tunnel. Like, it just kind of like brings you here. But it just kind of, aren't tunnels fun? I mean, a tunnel's not fun. Am I right or wrong? Like, when you're on a train, is it not fun going through a tunnel? The answer is yes. So that's kind of like the idea here. It's just kind of like a little bit more fun. It's a little bit of mystery. We don't have to add any yellow concrete around there in the frame or anything. I mean, it probably would look a little bit smarter. To use an old person word, probably looks a little bit smarter here. I like this area can stay blue because I like the idea that anywhere blue is kind of like, oh, you can walk this way. I mean, same sort of thing here. Like, in case it's not already obvious, like, you know, that we've got a staircase here and, you know, it's kind of got a frame. Like, I just like the idea that we can see the blue and it's like, haha, we can go this way. Anyway, we've just got to add chains to the back now, and I reckon that might be it for the chains. The only things left will be the more everywhere inside the grid is going to be blue. Pretty much. I'm not 100% on that, because the reason that I'm making this was part of my soft play center. However, I like it a lot. Like, I think it's a cool piece just to have. Like, if you want this in like a back garden as like a jungle gym or just a play area or for a playground, I think that it's multifaceted. So I'm actually a little bit torn in what to do with the floor. The thing is, at playgrounds and stuff, which is what I'm imagining, like either a playground, somebody's back garden. Like, back garden, it may probably make more sense to have grass. Something like that. But for a playground, they've kind of got those multicolored floors already. You know, that spongy stuff, whatever it's made out of, it burns if you fall onto it. I do know that. It makes sense to have a little bit of blue, or, you know, maybe even a bit of terracotta or something like that. So I'm not 100% sure on that. But next thing we're going to do is, again, we're going to go for the minor details. We're going to go for the yellow carpet, doors, a little bit of water, and I guess we should make the jump pad. Sticky piston, slime block, obsidian we'll need, redstone dust, weighted pressure plate. That should be it. So why don't we start with this, actually? Why don't we start with this? So the jump pad. Oh, we'll also need a yellow concrete because the jump pad doesn't quite take you high enough. Or, well, the where I'm going to place it, it doesn't. So the jump pad is pretty much going to be here. I want the jumpy part of the jump pad to be pretty much right in the middle, one row away. We've got a sticky piston with a slime block on top of it. Perfect. But we need a redstone dust in front of the sticky piston. And then, I don't know if you need this, but for safety, because it does ruin things if otherwise, I'm going to place obsidian around the piston and then around the slime. To which I'm then going to just stick a weighted pressure plate. And then, like, I'd say about half the time it works. Give it a second. Run. I want to say half. There we go, perfect. So that wasn't half the time. That was probably a third. Maybe that was a fluke. Hang on. Yeah. No. I did it. Anyway, it doesn't matter. So don't place anything on top of the obsidians. Not carpet any. Well, you probably place yellow concrete and stuff, but don't place carpet on it. It gets a bit weird. You probably can't place anything else around it, to be quite honest. Like, let's see, because yes, you see the slime will stick on to whatever's around it. So you're just going to have to leave it like this. Anyway, that's the jump pad. It works some of the time. The water is for this little obstacle here, this little bit of parkour, making me want to make another Wipeout inspired parkour course. Here, and yeah, that's fine. The water is also for the bottom of the water slide, or as I call it, slide. And the water wants to flow. I'm going to need... can get rid of all of this stuff. I need some multicolored concretes as well, because... Okay. This is... Let's delete underneath the slide and replace it with blue concrete first. This is a ball pit. So the idea of the slide is that you slide down into a ball pit, because a playground, play area, play anything, is not complete without a ball pit. Changed my mind. And we're just going to use concretes for this. Shulker boxes look better. Wool looks also fine too. Shulker boxes are my favourite because they actually have a texture to them. And you would want to use, by the way, you would want to use... Can we get rid of these for a second? Keep these out. So you would want to use more walls. Why did I get those out? Why am I so dumb? So you would want to use more colours than this for the ball pit, but I don't feel like it. So I'm not going to. But the ball pit would want to be, you know, kind of like this. Like, it'd want to be... Texture's the wrong word. You know, it'd want to be like different heights and stuff. So like this. We can probably fill the bottoms of those in too. So here, here, and here. So the water, as long as the water's got somewhere to flow, just like an empty space. So varied might be the word. It wants to be varied in terms of like height. And if you really want to make it look a bit more interesting, you'll get yourself some different colours of carpet. So like, you can get away with just kind of like a relatively boring ball pit. But if you do add some more variety of carpet, more variety, if you wanted to use shulker boxes, that'd be even better, then it'd look even better. But the whole entire point is that, oh, we also need our slabs out again. So we're going to need the oak doors, water, slabs, and then just for the gladiatorial arena, sandstone wall, item frame, golden shovel, it doesn't have to be gold, and then the head. And we're just going to stick some smooth slabs across the back here, water in front, and then that should just flow down rather nicely, well not here, oh, I'll save it, rather nicely into those holes, and then it functions as a water slide, which is perfect. So it'll, oh, if we're actually in it, will slowly fall down, looking all nice and chilled out, right into the bottom here. Perfect. So that all works. Next thing, the doors. So the doors are almost... I think that I am going to replace the area with simply blue. The doors for the little sand pit here go here, and I mean, I'll just walk through the chains. And also here as well. That's what the doors are for. Want to be placed backwards because it looks, it just looks a little bit better. Inside the sand pit, again, a mock beach. So, if you want to add a bit of water, if you want to add some sandcastles in the form of just 4 sandstone wall next to each other, if you want to add some item frames, oh, that's also another thing as well, some buckets. There's a few things you can use for buckets actually these days, but pots, I mean, I don't think you can go wrong. Bucket and spade. And then we can always have good old Steve buried up to his neck in the sand, and we'll just leave him as he is there. If you want to make it a little bit more interesting, sandstone slab, completely forgot about this, but a little bit of sandstone slab built up, you know, just around here and there. Maybe hide Steve away a little bit. You know, just something like that. Looks pretty good. Can build it up on the side. Something like this. Looks just fine. Perfect. And now that we have done that, what left do we have to do? We actually only have 2 things left to do. And one of which I'm not going to be doing with you because it's going to be very tedious. But what I am going to be doing with you is I'm going to grab the yellow carpet. And we're going to place yellow carpet on top of... And by the way, this isn't even necessary. And you could use a contrast material. You don't have to use yellow. But anywhere that we've kind of got the vertical bars, the chains, I think it just looks better with a bit of yellow. Or I did consider blue. Or I have also considered some sort of grey to contrast. But I am sticking with yellow in the end just because it's tried and true. Tried and tested. 100% tested. And... I mean, you might like it with the carpet. You might also prefer it without the carpet as well. So, I'll leave it up to you which you prefer, to be quite honest. I mean, it's, you know, it is completely up to you. But I think it just adds kind of like a frame on it. I guess this whole entire build is superficial. Like, the entire thing is about looks. Like... The chains look as though they work. The yellow carpet just makes it look like it's like got a frame. Like this, I don't know. I don't know what I'm even talking about, but it just, I don't know. You might like it, you might not. You don't have to place it too many places. It's mainly around the top and the front, as I mean you've already seen, but mainly around the top. Pretty much just going all the way around. I don't like it on the part where it rises, by the way. I don't like it on, like, this part here. So, here, here. I think I'm almost done. I think I've just got to... Come on. Come on, what are we doing? So, here, 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 and here. And here. Yeah, there we go. So, that's pretty much everywhere. So this, for all intents and purposes, ladies and gentlemen, is completely done, and it's a really fun little play area. Look great in the park in somebody's back garden if they had a mansion or something. I wish I had one of these growing up, it'd be awesome. Loads of places for this. Like, I guess there's not too many places for this. It's pretty much just a playground, or like in like a back garden or something. It's just a play set. But I'm going to dig out inside the grid, and I'm just going to replace it with blue concrete now, and then that'll kind of be it. So yeah, I'm going to do that off recording, and I'll show you what it looks like. You may or may not like it. You may want to change it to something else, but we'll see. Oh, and also the two little walkways to the houses. I like the idea of, if you've ever been in like a fun house at like a fair or something, you know how there's those like big inflatable things that you've like got to fight your way around? Like, I like the idea of having those. So they're not exactly like inflated, but they're just, you know, a couple of rows of concrete. The exact opposite of something soft and inflatable, but you know, it just adds a little fun to the build. So there's also that, and then there's turning the floor blue. So this is what our play area will look like once it's been 100% fully completed. I've added all of the blue, we have all of the obstacles, we have the water slide, we have all of our pathways and ball pits and everything, our sand pits filled in. What more could we need? If you've enjoyed this tutorial, please do remember to hit that like button, as it helps me in the channel out very, very much. Subscribe to the channel if you're new around here. Click that little bell next to the subscription button. That'll ensure that you get all my videos sent directly to your sub box. And if you don't want to make anything else by me, check out the card system, description below, and the top of the comment section for more. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. I love you all very much, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye! We're not done quite yet. Hang on, wait. And I'm gone.